Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, people of the world. It's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. I'm joined by a special guest. Everyone is a special guest. I'm joined by my new colleague, Zakeyah Frazier. Now, I say the word new is because I've seen her journey over the past 2 years, I believe, as an intern. Well, actually, not even before that, just being interested. I think you were a peer career advisor and then an intern, and then now you are a full-fledged staff member. Welcome to the real world. Before we get into this episode, Zakeyah, tell the listeners a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Well, my name is Zakeyah Frazier. I go by Z. You know, sometimes it's hard to pronounce my name, so I just go by Z for short. So I've been at Mason for about 3 years now. I recently graduated about 3 weeks ago now from the Counseling and Development program here at Mason. Concentration, clinical mental health counseling.
That's a little clap, but there you go.
Thank you. So while I'm on journey with grad school, I work with a bunch of different departments here at Mason, and that pretty much, catapulted me here with career services. And through my work with students, I was like, hey, this is something I really want to do. So I started off as a peer career advisor, just small part-time job, not knowing that I would end up here, full-time. If you were to ask me, a few years ago, would I even be in grad school? I had imposter syndrome, so I was like, no. I was always afraid of that. So served as a peer career advisor, and then the opportunity came for me to apply for internships. And it's so funny. I was telling my peers, because we get the list of sites, right? And I think one of the supervisors here in the office, they came to like a informational meeting to tell us about the office. And I was telling my friends, this was like Thanksgiving break, year 2 of grad school. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. Didn't even interview or nothing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. That's what I want to do. I love working with students. And fast forward, I got hired as the intern.
Goat. And the reason why I'm smiling is because, it's the same journey I had, right? Like someone came to our class, shout out to Ken Garan, who passed away, did the same thing, said, if you want an internship, we do it at our office. And I looked and I did the same thing in my mind. I said, that's the one I want. And I bothered the dude for 6 months. Now, I probably was overtly, you networked as well. And you probably wasn't as extra as me, but I'm just smiling because that journey there, I was like, as soon as I heard that presentation in our class, I was in it. So what I'm curious about is getting to grad school, your journey here. Tell us a little bit where you from and how'd you come to Mason for grad school?
Great question. So I was born and raised up and down the East Coast. So I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey. Moved to Georgia when I was 15 with my mom and my brother and sister. 19, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, to live with my aunt and uncle. Just better opportunity for me out there. I first attended Johnson C. Smith University for about 2 years. Small world. I didn't know that Phil had family who went there, so that's a little funny, like insider we have. Didn't know that. And then I ended up transferring to Queen's University of Charlotte, so not too far from Smith. About, I want to say maybe 10, 12 minutes away. Majored in sociology, and I had a professor. He goes, what do you want to do with sociology? I was like, I don't know.
Same thing, yeah.
I don't know. So he goes, I think you should, at the time I was taking like an extra course or something like that. And I think it was group counseling or something like that. And he was like, I think you should pick up a minor. You might as well do it. You have time. You're a sophomore. So I said, okay, cool. So picked up the minor in human service studies. And that was my sophomore year. And I fell in love with human services. And I took play therapy, group therapy. I took nonprofits to management. And in those classes, I had, Black professors just pour into me at a predominantly white university. And that was like super helpful. And that stood out to me the most, to see these people, care for me and see me. And I just fell in love with counseling. But at the time, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, I have this minor. I still don't know what industry I'm going to go into. So I want to say my senior year, I took a play therapy course. Shout out to Dr. Penn. Dr. Penn taught me on play therapy, and I was like, oh, okay, I like therapy. I like, working with students, people, kids, all that stuff. So then I basically, long story short, I'm rambling here. I was like, I'm going to take a gap year. I still don't know what I want to do.
Okay, fact.
So took a gap year. In that gap year, I moved to D.C. I did this program called the Young Adult Volunteer Program. It's through the Presbyterian Church. And I served as a case manager intern in Silver Spring, Maryland at Interfaith Works. And I work with a marginalized population, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I like this. Like, I like working with people. I never saw like a vulnerable population like that before. You know how you just see stuff on TV and you're like, dang, like.
Well, I thought, man, before
sad.
I met my wife, social work was just people that like went to foster and ripped kids away. I didn't know the whole gambit of social work. Like, from the movie, every social worker is some burnt out woman. Like, what's the movie, Precious or something, where they like have an office and all they do is foster care. That's the only thing I thought for social work before I know about counseling. Yeah. And then on the flip side, I thought the only people that did therapy were like the sit on the couch, with your arms crossed and you're just talking to someone while they take notes and analyze you. So like my understanding of helping, as you said, with the media was like those two extremes, taking kids away from their parents or sit on the couch. So yeah. For sure.
And then I just was like, okay, this is something I want to do. And I had a supervisor there at the time. She was like, I'm here for you if you like ever need anything you want to, apply to like graduate schools and things like that. So long story short, I applied to, I don't know how many, maybe 5 schools.
For counseling?
Yeah, counseling and development. Okay. I knew that's what I wanted to do after working with people for a year. And my dad, he told me about Mason. And I was like, George Mason? I never heard of George Mason before. Like, where is that even at? He was like, it's in Virginia. Like, it's a good school. You should check it out. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I applied to Temple. Temple University was my first choice. Got into Temple.
All right.
Got into Temple. But Temple is expensive.
That's the real.
Temple is expensive. And I remember my visit here was February 5th, 2019. I remember. And I came to the campus. I was looking for Krug Hall. I was like, man, where's Krug? Like, it's in the center.
Yeah.
So I get to Krug, and that's when I met, Dr. T, Dr. Steen.
Okay.
That was really cool. And I was like, I just like the feel of the campus.
Was it also impressive that the people that you met were like Black professors?
Absolutely.
Like off the break, like I'm thinking like, oh, I'll come to a counseling program and the head of these are Black, Dollarand, Steen. Yep. That's like organically would just put an impression on me.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, like to see them like in those roles, even at the interview, I was like, wow, that could be me one day. So had that interview. And at the time I was going back and forth, should I go to Temple, should I go to Mason? But when I came here, I just felt like at home. Like, I don't know, I think it was just the campus environment, the interview, the people, the energy. And then fast forward, fall 2020, I started pandemic hit. I was a pandemic, we call our class like pandemic class.
Yes.
We started the program in the pandemic.
Okay, so you started fall 2020.
Fall 2020.
I want to explore that too. You had this vision, you had this experience. How was that starting grad school 2020 in the pandemic with like, was it like all your classes remote that first semester?
Yeah.
How did you feel like you had all this, like, I love the campus, I love this, and then you're not really experiencing it. Yeah. So how did that first semester feel, or maybe the first year feel, starting a program remote like that?
It was kind of lonely. We would make jokes like, this is Zoom University.
Yeah.
And we would come to bottom half pajamas.
Yeah.
Up top with parents. But it was hard to, have those interpersonal relationships and make those connections. And you're in a counseling program. And, professors will prompt us to, turn on our camera, participate. But it was so hard. The world was still shut down. Campus, I didn't even know what campus even looked like. And I think that summer we had the opportunity to take summer classes.
The following summer, 21, right?
Yeah, 21. When 21 came around, we had the opportunity to take summer classes, and that was the first time I came to campus. Mm-hmm. And I remember embracing my friend when we had a weekend summer class here at Mason. She was like, "Is it okay if I hug you?" I was like, "Yeah, girl, like, hug me." I've been just seeing you on Zoom, and to see my professors in person, it was like, oh my gosh, like you look good, like from outside of the camera, and like just to have those connections and you know, practicing those role plays in the classroom and things like that, and just navigating the campus. Really, I got lost at first. I was like, Mason is so huge, but then after being here, I was like, oh, it's just a huge circle with a bunch of different intersections.
Now, I mean, you had to, we go back to touching base, like, I think a lot of people, when they do an internship here at Career Services, they did it because, like, the two stories that we have, like, wow, I took the career class, I love it, it's dope, I want to, and then I'm the guest speaker. But what I've also heard from student workers, and I want to know if this is your thing too, is like, it was also attractive because, like, you get an opportunity to, like, be more involved at Mason when you work at Mason. Absolutely. Was that some of the desire to be at the intern here? And the PCA was like, all right, I want to get involved. Like, when I do the students, they say, like, a lot of the commuter students say, like, I don't really get the chance to get to know campus, so I want to do my internship here at this office so I feel connected to Mason more. Was that your rationale?
I would say yes, but my reasoning is a little bit different. Like, so for me, college saved my life, and college also transformed my life. So for me, I worked with Massey before interning here. I worked while working here as an intern, I worked as an education specialist with the athletic department. Also worked with the Honors College as a group facilitator. So for me, it was all about strategy and planning, but along the way, to be able to help other students on their journey, just as I've been helped, was my main goal. And to have students, have that light bulb moment, like, oh, like, this is clicking for me, or, I've been told, like, wow, Z, like, coming to talk to you, like, that really helped me. Nobody else listened to me. So I think that did it for me, like, wanting to stay here and work with students in like higher education at a college campus.
So one of my thoughts, and, this is like, talking to myself in the past, Z is quite younger than me, I'm washed, is that when I was actually doing my internship, similar to you, and I had a hard time when we go to class, the internship class, and everyone was like talking about they work at the CSB and all that stuff, like, yo, I'm helping someone get off meth and all this stuff, and I'm like, I help someone with their resume. I don't know, like, I was like, all right, we talked about values. So tell us a little bit about, like, how was your feeling of being in there? Like, I felt reaffirmed, though, because I got over it real quick because I was like, I really enjoyed what I was doing, but I just didn't like going to that class because I felt like people was sometimes outside of my class would, like, downplay what I was doing. Yep. Like, oh, that's just career stuff, all that. Like, you're not in it, you're not doing real therapy like me. Yeah. And I was like, all right, whatever, I need to take this class anyway, so I need to graduate. So talk about your experience, doing the career counseling in that, whatever we had to do, the cohort, where you had to talk about what you're doing. Yeah,
so similar experience, right? I've had, similar feelings. Like, I remember practicum first week out the gate, people were like, yeah, I'm working with, this tough couple, and I'm doing this, and this person has this, and I'm like, dang, I'm just...
yeah. I help someone with 2 bullet points. You know what I'm saying?
I'm shadowing right now. I don't have no clients right now. And, like, I haven't really had any, like, deep mental health stuff. So it felt, for me in the beginning, it felt like, is this work I'm doing even meaningful? But then, to your point, I was like, well, wait, like, if you really think about it, like, mental health counseling was birthed out of career counseling. If we think back, you
dropping gems on us. That's for real?
Yeah.
See, she's still in the school mode because I don't remember none of this in class.
Yeah, I learned it.
I remember Freud and all these people. I learned Carl Jung and all them.
What's his name?
John Holland and all that mess.
No, I think I learned this in my 609 class, like Frank Parsons, and like just learning about like. Okay. I think this was like back in like 1908 or something when counseling like was developed and things like that, and like it wasn't called career, it was like vocational, and like back in the wartime, like I think soldiers went through vocational counseling, and then that's how basically career counseling was developed. But I'm rambling.
No, that's actually dropping gems because I was thinking about that because then maybe that made sense, right? Veterans returning, whatever, early, I think that I'm assuming history, World War I, coming back from the world of work, and they're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself. Now, finally, they're probably not going to say crying with feelings, but they also probably experienced trauma of going to war, and then they had to like get vocational counseling to integrate back into society.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense. But then but we didn't think about that. Like, so go back. I love your story about like we career birthed counseling.
In a way, and I could be wrong, but hey,
okay,
I learned that, that I learned something new. And I think for me, I'm still helping people, you know what I'm saying? And that's what kept me going. And I think for me, like, people think career counseling, you're just helping somebody with resume. But underneath all the, I need help with a job, it's real life situations going on. And these students really open up to you, and I've had a few cases myself where I'm just like, wow, like that was super, like, okay, I see the intersectionality of like mental health and career. So it comes into play. And then after a while, I was feeling guilty, if I'm completely honest with you. I was feeling guilty, and I was feeling bad for my peers are like, they have gone on to, go work for the CSB full time or go work in these mental health, realms and industries. And me, I'm like, oh, well, I found a calling in higher education. I love working with students. I love working, at the college and university, and I love career counseling. So that's where I want to start.
I love it. The part that I felt guilty was that I don't know.
No stories to share.
No, I had some funny. No stories to share. Then I just like finesse and not make up, but like not exaggerate, but like
milk it.
Like I was like intentionally look for it. Like, man, this dude was crying. Like I don't have to find some we talked about their feelings somewhere in there. Or when I did my recording, I had to say like I used paraphrasing like 20 times, like just to use a technique just to do it. Yeah. But the part that I found interesting about feeling guilty, and I think that resonated with me, was that this job wasn't that stressful, and so I felt like, am I doing something wrong because my internship is not as stressful? Like I'm not going through the quote unquote counseling gauntlet, and I don't know if that's either because this job is easy or I just really liked it because I mentally did not, when I was going through it, I felt like when people looked like they was burnt out, I didn't feel burnt going to my internship here. So I felt a little bit of that like guilt, like should I feel as burnt out or as, hardened as my, and then at the end of the day I was like, nah, maybe I just really like doing what I was doing, or it's not that hard. But what was your thoughts? Was it kind of like that too? Like I did the same. I think literally you're resonating with me because I felt like that too. I'm like, I'm gonna stay in the college. Like right when I was working, doing my last internship like you, I was like, this is it. Yeah, I got it. I'm not stressing. I'm just going to keep on applying to higher ed jobs. And I started doing that and all that and doing what you're doing. Like I'm a network with only people that work in higher ed and start networking. Like I was like, I think the light bulb went off while I was here. While other people are like, I don't know if I even want to do this no more because it's horrible. I'm tired. Yeah,
I think where my guilt came in at was basically like, my peers are doing this mental health work and I'm not doing, I'm not really diving deep. Like I'm going through like maybe the window of mental health, but I'm not going directly through the door like my peers are. Like we're having completely different experiences, and trying to relate to them in class was not hard, but it was like I don't have the same story. Or I remember, how you remember in an internship class you would have to tell a diagnosis.
Yeah.
But I don't have a diagnosis because we don't. You know what I'm saying? Here in career.
I just said insert anxiety, generalized anxiety or something like that.
Because we all have.
Present it like.
Yeah, we all have
or like they look sad, so I'm going to just assume they're depressed. Yeah. But it wasn't like you said, like real deal. Yeah.
No, like deeper dive into the mental health aspect. But I feel like now I'm in a space where like I still want to do mental health work, but I just found that calling now. So I was like, if I could do like a scaling thing here, like me wanting to do career counseling was like at an 8 or a 9 versus me wanting to go into the mental health route was at like a 4 or 5. Like I was like, nah.
Mine was a 2.
So I was like, I like higher education. This is where I'm gonna go, and by the grace of God, here I am.
I think one of the things I like, and I think I like that you're doing, is the intentionality about social justice and diversity, equity, inclusion. And I didn't know how special it was that our program, the one that we went through, had this multicultural focus and a social justice class. And I didn't know that until I went nationally, that not a lot of programs had that. But talk about that aspect of your program and how you were able to do some of that stuff outside the classroom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I'm trying to think. Social justice that class was great. We dove into some like deep topics. Multicultural was heavy, but great work too. My classmates and I, my peers and I, we were able to like do a deeper dive on different cultures other than our own. So we weren't assigned like, so I'm African American. I wasn't assigned to African American, like race or ethnicity. I was assigned, a different culture. And I think the work that I've done in those like social justice, multicultural, even group, like it made me, more aware of my own biases that I may have, and, also how to, I guess, put my own biases and assumptions to the side and then show up for other people and other communities. Like, for example, being that I had this experience in the program with social justice, multiculturalism, and those different things like that, even my trauma class, like, for example, we read a book called My Grandmother's Hands, and that book is phenomenal. I was a group leader for the alternative break trips one spring, and I still cannot believe I went to Selma, Alabama. That was, I can't even put it into words. And we went to the Equal Justice Museum, and, we went to Atlanta, Georgia too, and the topic was Unlocking the Dream. And we talked about, food insecurity and food justice and racism. And that was just mind blowing. But had I not taken those classes, I would not have been prepared for that trip. I also served as a group facilitator for the Honors College, and with that opportunity, I was able to basically discuss how to with undergraduate students in the Honors College. I was able to be a group facilitator and, facilitate conversations on how to create an anti-racism community here at Mason. And those conversations aren't, easy, but I think just taking those courses and being in the program helped me in those areas. And I'm still learning too, even as a professional.
I think that you had that right there in the moment. Now I'm in reflection, I'm seeing how that like came back around like 10 years later. Like I said, I'm like, I'm great. Like when we do our anti-racism learning here at our actual office here at Career Services, I'm like, okay, we kind of had these difficult conversations in grad school.
Yeah, it's like group prepared you for that too.
Yeah, I definitely did. And it's also like made me, like I said, like I think I did not know the influence of this program as heavily until like maybe later, like, oh yeah, me and my best friend went through at Hillard. Now we're better friends because we talk. Like, all right, so it's just crazy to see like you had that experience and seeing it right now in front of your face. I'm just curious. It's going to be curious to see like how that translates later as you 10 years down the line. And now you see it. And I think I can reflect a little bit better now. Hindsight's 2020. What was some of the thoughts of, okay, I'm going to work full time. I want to do higher ed. What was some of your thoughts around that? Like, was it exciting or anxious or like nervous or what? Or did you like, look at me as an example because I went through the counseling program? I just felt like putting my name in your question.
No, I think I remember. It's so funny. I have shower thoughts. I had a shower thought, and I got out the shower, and I was like, this may sound weird, but I was like, I remember when I was a PCA and you came up to me and like, introduced yourself, and I was like, hey, da-da-da, and you talked to me about your journey. And at the time, I was still confused. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't know what he talking about. That I'm probably not interested in that, but okay, cool. But then it's funny how like, it's like a full circle moment. Like, here I am, a year and a half later, And I think for me, I was like, at first I was anxious because I was like, dang, I'm not going the mental health route. But I do find joy and passion in higher education and in this office. And I've seen you, and I think I told you this too. I think we had to do the bucket things, the kindness thing, and I would see you and your name was everywhere, or you would, you're involved in the Mason community and very outspoken, and I was like, I want to be like that one day, like.
But strategic and smarter. I'll give you that.
I want to be like that one day, so.
No, I think on the inverse is like, I think that's one of the biggest things for me is that seeing the past me as all the interns, and it was just like, one, it's great to see all the interns come through, but more so like seeing a Black intern, and I'll just be transparent, seeing it's like, wow, I felt closer, like that's a mini me, or actually more like that's like a little sister, but going through it. And so like I would definitely think it was like, man, I was always saying you're doing it, and like honestly, I was writing all the stuff you're done. I didn't do half the stuff that you did in grad school, so I'm like extremely proud.
Thank you.
And I know that is a surreal moment. And then now you're gonna be on the other side, and you're gonna have another intern. So what are your thoughts now? You know, you're gonna look out for that new intern coming through.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the purpose of your work, right? I think there's a quote by I think it's Marion Wright Edelman. She has a quote that said, be a good ancestor, stand for something, bigger than yourself, or something like that, while doing your sojourn, pardon me. So, like, I know that I've been standing on the shoulders of other people, and then now that I'm in this full-time role, like, I'm a big girl now. I know that other people are going to stand on my shoulders, so definitely looking forward to it.
One of the things I thought about was, were you able to connect with, I don't know, I didn't get a chance to get outside my bubble, but were you able to connect with other grad students in different disciplines while you were going through this? I say that because I didn't know anybody else during Mason time.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been helpful, like, also, like, I went to these, like, I didn't do it now, but, I went to the conference, but I didn't connect with other counseling grad students. So I was like, I probably would have, if I would have in a time machine, I would have went to that, like we went to ACA, is it American Counselors? We went to ACA in New Orleans, and all I did there was just, drink a lot and go to a couple sessions. But now if I would have gone in hindsight, I still would have drank a lot, but I probably would have connected with other grad students, like what's their experience at, like, because, maybe they have some camaraderie across the nation. And now but were you able to connect with other grad students throughout or just in general, other Mason grad students? I didn't do that at all either.
I wouldn't say other Mason grad students because, grad school here is in the evening. So you pretty much like I call them my cohort, but like the people that I was close with, our program is divided into mental health and school. So we just stuck together. Like, you're taking this class, let's take it together. Let's help each other. But we all have different experiences, so we share those. And someone just asked me, I think it was yesterday in church, somebody was like, do you still have friends? I'm like, yeah, everybody in Virginia, so we gonna stay connected. And so
well, that's true. That part, because I still stay in touch with the school people, and now they all in schools, and like, that's my man Enrique Fernandez. I'll call him Esteban. Shout out to you, and all these people. So it was like that. But I think that's one of the things I wish I would have done was, one, either met more people nationally, all these like grad school associations, build a network. Like you're in Chi Sigma Iota, right? That little honor thing. Did you get in?
No.
I mean, I got it. I didn't do nothing with it.
I didn't do any. Yeah, I didn't
like
do
you,
anything.
like I got the plaque, but I would have like tapped into Chi Sigma Iota and
and I also think it was hard too because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that was in person got changed to virtually, and then you have the virtual option. And then when you have a virtual option, as grad students, people not showing up to Zoom.
Or no one did the Chi Sigma Iota thing. Like, we tried to do movie nights. So, but like finding community outside of grad school is hard. And also the one thing, like, we have now the Black Graduate Student Association. I didn't have that, but I would have tapped into that too. Yeah. But I was just thinking, like, that's the only thing I have a lot of regrets about our program is that, like, I didn't like really tap into Mason like I should have, like now. So one thing is, what advice would you give to someone that is going through grad school and figuring themselves out? What's some strategies that you'd use that you think they should do to figure it out more, or have a better experience in grad school? And that could be applicable to the counseling one or just generally grad school in general?
I would say that, you know, we all may have imposter syndrome, but someone once told me it's okay to have imposter syndrome. One, imposter syndrome isn't real. And then two, of course you're an imposter because you're on a journey to become a mastery at something, right? So of course you're going to feel like, hey, I don't belong, I don't have the tools, but grad school is getting you there. Secondly, find a community, whether that's, you know, people in your cohort, lean on them, try to take classes with each other to support each other. Take it one day at a time, one foot in front of the other. Give yourself grace. And lastly, it's okay if your plans change. Trust the reroute. And if there's something, you know, pulling at your heartstrings that wasn't so like high in the beginning, like, hey, like for example, I use myself. When I came into grad school, I wanted to be a play therapist. And here I am 3 years later, I'm a career counselor. So you're going to have these experiences that may change your mind, and that's okay. Pay attention to that, and there's nothing wrong with it. Your journey is your journey. And yeah, that's pretty 3 or 4 nuggets I would give.
And then what's one thing you're looking forward to?
I would say that's a good question. Honestly, just professional development for sure. Professional development and making, you know, connections. I know we have the conference coming up, so I'm excited to meet, you know, new professionals early and new professionals, mentors and people who know more than me, so I can learn, be a sponge, soak it up, and also just speaking up more. I tend to kind of be quiet sometimes, but just using my voice more. So those are 2 things I'm looking forward to.
Excellent. So now is the part of the show called Shot for Shot. You get to ask a random question. I ask a random question. You want to go first or I go first?
You go first.
Why Alpha's the best? I'm just playing. No, that's not my question.
Oh,
no, 06. Vibe. You said Jersey. Was it Jersey, Georgia, and Charlotte? What? If you had $1 million, where would you buy a house, and why?
North Carolina, Charlotte.
Why Charlotte? Yeah, talk about the Queen City. Why you pick Charlotte?
Charlotte feels slow. It's like slow. It's home. Like it feel like home. It's not too busy. It's not too slow. It's not too fast. It's like in the middle.
Watered down Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? The Queen City.
Yeah, it's nice out there.
But it's not as crazy.
So I would say Charlotte.
All right. And you probably with $1 million still won't got nothing because it's jacked up now.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah, price has gone up. Oh, what's your question for me?
All right, this is gonna be it. Let me see. Flats. Just talking about chicken wings. Flats or drumsticks, and why?
I like the flats.
Oh, goated.
I like flats. I like the flavor. I don't know. I just feel like you get more meat on flats. I think so. I don't know if that's science. And they're easier to eat. Like you could just go like this and like no one sees this as audio, but you can literally just scrape it in your mouth. I don't know. These
are all correct answers.
I don't know. It seems like better wings. Like I wouldn't do all flats, but I don't get mad if I have majority flats. I think they're easier to cook too, honestly.
I think so too.
If you grill them, I see people grill them. You can literally flip them over easier than if you have wings that are lopsided in the meat and something's undercooked. So, I mean, I think it's a simple choice. Flats are better than drumsticks any day. That was a good question because I thought about it, but it didn't really take that long. And I don't think many people would disagree with that answer.
Valid.
I'm also really impressed that I actually like gave up like real reasons rather than just because they taste good. But all right, well, this has been great, Z. This is the part of the show called Shout Outs and Plugs. You get to show love to anyone you want to show love to, and then plugs, things where people can connect with you, like that you feel comfortable connecting with you, because I'll put that in the show notes. So shout outs and plugs.
Shout out to Phil for having me on this podcast. I was type nervous. I never been on a podcast before. I really don't like public speaking, but it's my big brother here, so thank you.
Easy.
Shout out to all my peers. We just graduated 3 weeks ago, so just navigating the, adulthood. And where people can find me. LinkedIn.
Yeah, say LinkedIn. Yeah, I was about to say.
LinkedIn at my name, Zakeyah Frazier, and find me on there. Love to connect and network.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Z, for being on the show. Positive Philter listeners, as I know, every episode is dedicated to the memory of my late father-in-law, Jeff Kirsch. So please consider donating to the Jeff Kirsch Anti-Hunger Fund to support those that are doing advocacy and work in food insecurity. So I put that in the show notes. If you're listening to this episode, share it with a family member or friend. Give us a like, subscribe, or review on Apple or Spotify. That helps elevate the podcast. It's been a great episode. Support Zakeyah and connect with her as a young professional. And we're out. Thank you for listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.